Hello, I'm Rick Bayshard, and thank you for visiting my channel. My apologies for not putting a video out recently. I've been pretty busy, but as I've stated in the past, I will do my best to get these videos out whenever I can and as often as I can. Today I wanted to speak about the Course in Miracles perspective on reincarnation. Now, the Course doesn't specifically talk about reincarnation, but what we can kind of extrapolate from its teachings is that the possibility that reincarnation is something that occurs is there. And the reason that is that, as we know from the Course's Metaphysics, this world is illusionary and that we identify as bodies and we're unaware that it's an illusion. So the Course is trying to help us get back to the mind level, which is what our true essence is. We are a mind. So the world and the worldly experience that we have here as bodies is just that. It's a worldly experience made by the ego to run from God, to keep us stuck, to not look at the mistaken belief that we've done something wrong and we've left our source. So here we are in this world, and the Course comes to us and is providing us methods to remember who we are, to get back to in touch with the mind level. Now, that's a little bit of an effort because the ego doesn't want us to do that, because the minute we realize that we have a mind and we have the capacity to change our mind and identify with love and the Holy Spirit and God versus the ego's thought system of separation and sin and guilt and fear, that's a threat for the ego, because if we change our mind, the ego will no longer exist. So we're here in the world, and we're working on ourselves via A Course in Miracles or any other particular spiritual path that someone identifies with. And the goal is always the same for all of us, is to undo the ego's thought system and to begin to chip away and begin to realize who we are. Because what ultimately happens in this world is not that we have to heal the body. It's the mind that has to be healed. And what will happen is, as we experience our lives here in this world, if we come to a place where we die, physically the body dies, we don't die because we're not the body, but when we get to that place, if we, within the dream, within the illusion, still haven't chosen love, still are fearful, then at the mind level, the mind will continue to project the thought system of the ego, because that's what needs to be corrected. And it's corrected here at this illusionary level, where we begin to look at our relationships and our bodies and begin to reinterpret what they mean through forgiveness. So the process then is that we are here in this world, we apply A Course in Miracles principles, and we begin to come to a place of peace, because we realize that cancer can't hurt us because we're not a body. But the bottom line is, it's a process, and we don't always do it perfectly, and we don't always do it quickly. And if our bodies die, then the mind will continue to project, just like a movie. And I don't know necessarily what that projection will be like. We may come back and do the same thing all over again, same parents, same family, or maybe we come back as a spider, or maybe got a different gender, a different culture. Because in the end, the form is irrelevant. The experiences will all provide the same purpose of pushing our buttons and causing us to look. And it's in the looking that we begin to realize the world doesn't serve us. We begin to understand and accept that the world is an ego method of keeping us stuck. Now, it can be a little frightening. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to do this world again. It did completely, it was completely complicated and horrible. And I want to not come back into this world again. So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I do the work lessons properly and so on. But that's another subtle ego trick. Because the minute we begin to have a need that I don't want to do this world all over again, we're really saying that this world did really exist, and we're making it real in a strange way. And I'm saying, I don't want to do this again, and then we work hard to try to remember who we are when it's not the way to do it, because the world doesn't exist. The bodies aren't real. Our experience is that they are, but at least intellectually and from the Course's Metaphysics, We have to be in this world, but not of it, and realize that, yes, I identify with my body, identify with all the troubles I have here, and, you know, I may come back, and it may be difficult, but the idea is that how many times you come back, whether you come back once or not at all, or 1,000,000 times, it's going to be ultimately irrelevant. Because once we finally get to the place at the mind level where we choose love, where we recognize, oh my goodness, my identification with the ego thought system of separation, sin, and fear was all a mistake. It'll be no different than waking up at night from a bad dream. And we'll look at it and we'll go, oh my goodness, and we'll simply dismiss it. And we'll understand it from that point. But here in this world of time and space and bodies and relationships and illness and ego neediness, it's hard to do. And that's why I appreciate the Course's teachings, because it provides us the metaphysics and the principles to really look at all the perspectives of this world, of time and space and science and relationships and psychology. And you can see how intricate it is from an ego perspective. And it's so well thought out from an ego perspective that it really does keep us stuck and takes our peace away. And remember, peace is the prerequisite to remembering who you are. And the only way to get to peace is to be able to look at the world differently, our relationships, our body, and reinterpret them, because it's the reinterpretation of this world. If we reinterpret it with the Holy Spirit or with love's perspective, we'll begin to be at peace with this world instead of fighting it. We'll do everything we need to do, but we will do it with love and peace and kindness versus agitation and aggravation and disappointment. Again, we may still have some of these feelings, but even with these feelings, we can be at peace. So the process then, regarding reincarnation, is that we're here and we need to do the work, carry water, chop wood, with the understanding that it's a classroom. And if our body is laid down, if the mind isn't healed and we're still too afraid at the mind level to choose love, the mind will continue to project and we may come back. But that's nothing to be afraid of either, because in the end, coming back once or 100 times will matter not. And that's the beauty and the good news in all of this, is that yes, reincarnation could be a tool from in the sense that the mind continues to project. But in the end, just like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, we will all ultimately wake up and realize that we were always home and safe with our family and our loved ones. And that is how I view, and that's how I understand the dynamic or the discussion of reincarnation from the Course's perspective. Because it's always the same. It's always undoing the ego. And however that looks like, how many lives that takes, will be different from everybody in form, but the end game will be the same. And the good news is that we always end up home safe, a home in safety that we cannot undo, that is always there. We're just temporarily unaware of it. And that's the good news. So thank you very much for this relatively short video, but I wanted to put that out because I was having dinner with some friends and that came up in the conversation. And I can see that, some people, kind of want reincarnation because they don't want to lose the world. They want to come back maybe. But in the end, we want to let reincarnation be what it is, just another aspect of this illusionary experience away from our source. And whether it happens once again or not, it's irrelevant. Focus and go back to the real important aspect of this, which is that we are always safe and whole and one with our source, and that will never change. Thank you very much. And if you liked the video, feel free to subscribe and hit a like. Thank you.